This is Passport to Everywhere.
I'm sure we've all dreamed of living like Eloise at the Plaza. My guest today sort of has lived that dream herself, except rather than Eloise at the Plaza, she was Valentina at the Grand Hotel Tremezzo on Lake Como.
If you can dream it, you can do it. So if you really manage to make your dream a reality, you can arrive everywhere.
Welcome to Passport to Everywhere with Indigare's Melissa Biggs-Bradley. Melissa is the founder and CEO of Indigare, a travel and media company committed to inspiring and empowering people to change their lives and the world through travel while having a positive impact on the places they visit. On the show, Melissa will reveal a behind-the-scenes look at some of the world's most treasured places, transport you to dream destinations and hotels, and introduce you to some of the most extraordinary people she's met on the road. This is Passport to Everywhere.
Valentina De Santis' grandfather purchased Lake Como's iconic Grand Hotel Tremezzo back in the early 1970s. And from then on, she would spend her holidays in the gardens or offering a helping hand in the kitchen, sometimes getting in the way. I first met Valentina at the Grand Hotel Tremezzo when she was just about to unveil another dream hotel. Inspired by the historical charm of the family-owned hotel and the beauty of Lake Como, Valentina's passion for hospitality was born at a young age, as you're going to hear. But it was during a serendipitous visit to Lake Como's Villa Passalacqua that Valentina and her parents fell in love with a property which they have since turned into the #1 hotel in the world. Passalacqua opened its doors in 2022, and the very next year, it was recognized as the world's best hotel. An achievement Valentina says goes beyond the family's wildest dreams. The intimate retreat has just 24 rooms spread across 3 distinct buildings. And if you see it for yourself one day, you'll notice that each corner of the property reveals its own unique narrative. From the floors to the frescoes, fireplaces, vintage prints, underground tunnels, and the newest addition, an indoor pool set inside a greenhouse that offers sweeping views of Lake Como's picturesque landscape. I'm excited to talk with Valentina today about her journey reinventing Passalacqua, her tips for experiencing Lake Como like a local, and how she inspires others to live life with the "if you can dream it, you can do it" mentality. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me. I'm the most excited person on the planet.
I'd love to dive in, Valentina. I know you come from a family that is deeply rooted in hospitality. You've owned the Grand Hotel Tremezzo since 1973. So what was it like growing up at the hotel on Como?
That was like my Lake Como version of Eloisa de Plaza. That's one of the most frequent question I'm asked. It was very special, let me say, because I've never been living in the hotel, so I did not spend my whole life at the hotel. But with my family, we were used to move to Tremezzo for 3 months in the summer. In Italy, the school holidays have a long break from June to September, and that was my Eloisa de Plaza moment. That was quite long. Also, the fact that it was not always my routine, I think, made it even more special. So for me, it was all about running in the corridor. And what I very clearly remember is that my big passion to deep in the to leave the hotel was not really leaving it like a guest. So my big passion was not spending time at the pool, but was really spending time in the back of the house. So that was my dream place, the place that fascinated me the most and that attracted me the most attention. So the kitchen for sure, the back office, so where there were still writing machines, because a few computers, but when I was already a little bit grown up, but mostly writing machines or big boards with the number of the rooms, with the names of the guests assigned. And then also the hugest part was the storage of the food and the wine. So I loved spending time looking at the colors of the labels of the wines, trying to arrange in them, putting the labels. That was really what I loved. I felt that it was very helpful, that I was helping people all day, all the team, but probably I was not.
I've been lucky to be at the Grand Hotel Tremezzo with you, but it's a very special place. It sits on the lake. It has this incredibly imposing sort of profile with an unbelievable pool set over the lake, and it has these incredible colors and grandeur. I'd love to have you describe what you think makes it so special.
Tremezzo has a very special history, and this is what I think makes it so special because nowadays it's still the only luxury Grand Hotel that was built to be a Grand Hotel since day one. And since day one, it has always been family owned and it has always been working as a hotel. So it's a Grand Hotel 100%. And I think makes a big part of its grandeur and its fascination. No, I always think about Grand Hotel Tremezzo as one of the Grand Dame of Lake Como. And I think it's quite signatory, its presence, no, its facade. And what I love is that it was really the result of dream of the couple. Unfortunately, at that time, it was not yet belonging to my family because, as you said, my grandfather bought it just 50 years ago. But I think dream is really a big keyword in the history of my family as a family of hoteliers. And Grand Hotel Tremezzo was really the result of the dream of the couple that decided to build it because they were traveling all over Europe, doing what was called the Grand Tour of Europe of the time. And they were sketched by the beauty and the charm and the elegance of these amazing Liberty style grand hotels that they had the pleasure to visit during their travels in the European capitals. And so when they came back to their beloved Lake Como, they felt that the need of building something similar. So they bought one of the most stunning lands on the lake because of the beautiful view. And they follow their dreams and they build this incredible Art Nouveau palace. And this is, I think, part of the charm that takes the heart away, not only of the guests and not only of us, that as a family, that of course we love the hotel like crazy, but also all the team. So we are a big family because as you probably know well, with all your friends in Italy, Italian family hotels become really big extended families. But what really makes me proud every day is that the whole team, the whole family around it really loves it. It's a place that takes your heart in some way very deeply.
It's so special. I know you mentioned you loved being in the back of house as a child at Grand Hotel Termezzo, but at what point did you know you were going to end up working in the hotel industry? Did you always know, or did you think at one point maybe you were going to do something different? How did it come about?
In the bottom of my heart, I always knew that I was ending there. I'm an only child, so there was something that was a very strong bond. And I loved that place so much, always. And I loved also the industry so much because I really managed to learn a lot about it. Also on the other side, because when I was a child, my parents allowed me to travel a lot. And of course, a big part of our holidays were not only the destinations we choose, but also the hotels we choose. So if you see at the pictures that I was taking as a kid with my little camera, that was, of course, not digital yet, but the old style cameras, I was taking pictures, yeah, maybe of course, the beautiful things that we were visiting, the monuments, but so many pictures are about the bedroom, the bathroom, and all the details about the hotel room we were staying in. And these are also so still strongly part of our memory. So my parents really teach me to love the hotels, to pay us very special form of respect and really to get deep in the soul of the hotels that we were visiting. So I think I always knew in my heart, even when I was at primary school, if you read some of my essays that were the main subject was speak about you as an adult, as a grown-up person, I was always putting myself in the shoes of my grandfather or my father, and I was always in the hotel in some way. Then, of course, I wanted to make the first step in the business world by myself. So I didn't choose to start immediately to work for the family business. And I worked as a consultant for a few years, very exciting. So I really loved it. And probably in my heart, I was probably planning to do it for even more years. And then what happened is that 2010 arrived, which was a very important, really a milestone year for Grand Hotel Tremezzo because it was founded in 1910. So it was the centenary of this beautiful hotel that we have the pleasure to have in our family. And so my father put me really in front of the choice, saying to me, if this is what you want to do, probably this is the good moment. In my heart, it was not yet the right moment. I would have done my own path for a while, still for a while, but understood how important was that moment and how special was what it was for me to make such an important step. And I followed my heart like I always do when it's a matter of taking decisions. I don't use so much my brain. I use the heart, which I think it's a good thing. And so this is where I am, like 14 years later.
And I know you, Valentina, you lead with your heart. It brought you to a very exciting decision a couple of years ago, and that's Passalacqua, which was named the world's best hotel last year, which is an incredible accomplishment because you only opened it in 2022. But I know there's a wonderful story behind Passalacqua coming into your family. So will you share how this came about?
Yeah, again, Passalacqua was a dream that we had one day. It was a dream that we didn't even know to have. It was really very far from our plans or from our projects. We discovered, and I always speak plural because it's me and my parents, so we are a good trio, a small family, but strong. Actually, it was them. They discovered through a real estate friend that Passalacqua was on sale, and we knew very little about it, if not that it was a big, beautiful villa on the lake. Probably my parents also visited it. I've never before. And as long as it was the beginning of October 2019, and they discovered that it was going to be sold on a private auction managed by Sotheby's real estate branch at the end of the month. So really like 3-4 weeks later. And we say, let's go to have a look. Why not? Because we are very rooted on Lake Como. So when there is something popping up on the lake, we always keep our eyes open, but really with no expectations, with no real projects or nothing, just for curiosity, things that happen by chance. And I always say that the best thing always happened by chance because even before crossing the gate, when we arrived and we found ourselves in what is a very special entrance, because the entrance of Passalacqua is a kind of almost medieval feeling. So even before crossing the gate, the three of us were already quite speechless or a little bit, our feelings were already quite high. Then once we entered the place, each of us took a different path. We decided to explore this magnificent place by ourselves. And after half an hour running around, we got back. We found the three of us all together again, and we all had that sparkle, the magic in our eyes, and we all knew that we were all feeling the same. It was what you always, in Italian we say colpo di fulmine, so like a strike, but with love. It was really love at first sight. So the three of us, and this is very special because it was a mutual feeling, and it never happens like that. So we had really the mutual feeling that we found something very unique, very special, and that could be very matching with the taste and the desire also of us as a family of doing something new and different. It was in a very good moment because Grand Hotel Tremezzo, that of course was in our family since more than 40 years, it was at a point where you are really happy. You know, we always do a lot of works, a lot of renovations, and there is a certain point where you always know that you need and we will improve. We will never stop to invest and improve. But when you look back and you think, okay, I'm very satisfied of what we have done so far. So it was a moment where we could also open our eyes to new horizons, even if it was not planned. The rest is history. So in 3 weeks, we made, I think, the shortest and most intense little due diligence on the villa. We, of course, signed in for the private auction. But that day we were really sad because we we knew that we really had the little hopes with all the attention that there is on Lake Como and with all the international investors that are interested in getting new places there. And let me say, almost by miracle, we finished that ocean with being the owners of Passalacqua. So we were the first one completely shocked. It was actually what we wanted, but we were not that sure that it was going to happen. So it was really one of the strongest and most emotional moments of our lives, also because it was unexpected but so desired.
Will you talk a little bit about the history of the villa? Because it has a fascinating history, the people before who owned it.
Yeah, I mean, the villa has this really fascinating history because it was built back in 1787, and it was built by this family who was giving the name to the villa. So it was the family Passalacqua. That was a very wealthy family doing business in Como. And because it was a family very involved in culture, art, literature, music, they received a noble title. So they became counts. And this family took this noble title very seriously. So as all the good families from Como, they were owning a beautiful palazzo in the historical city center, Romanic center, and then of course a summer house on the lake, because this is really this is also the reason why there are so many beautiful historical villas on the lake. When really the status of the family changed, they felt the need of having something on the shores of Lake Como that was not only a family retreat, but also a very illustrious place where to host illustrious guests. And so they choose this land. Again, it's always a matter of choosing very special land, like it happened in Tremezzo. They choose this terrace land that was very special because it was leading to the lake with these beautiful terrace gardens with the possibility to build a bigger building on the top with a very prominent view of the lake, and also a building that had the size and also the possibility to become not only a summer house, but really a place of reunion of illustrious people belonging to arts and culture. And this is the reason why there is such a long list of guests that belong to art, politics, literature, that really stayed or lived at Villa Passalacqua. Like, for example, we have our most special guest was Vincenzo Bellini, the opera composer, the music composer, that lived actually for 3 years in Passalacqua, and that was the place where he was inspired and he composed his 2 most famous operas. So it's very interesting, and I like very much to remember this because I think that the soul of Passalacqua was, since the very first day, again, the soul of hosting people from all over the world with the objective of enjoying the beauty of the lake, of unplugging, of being there to enjoy life and to stop and to be able to create new things, new memories. And I think that nowadays we're doing the same. So I really like this parallelism between what Passalacqua was built for and what we try to do today, to still reinterpreting probably something that is very similar to the desires of the original founders.
And I'm sure that history in many ways also influenced how you restored the villa and how you turned it into the hotel that it is today. So can you talk a little bit about that process of turning it into a hotel, respecting the history, but also making it into something new?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this was really the challenge, but challenge in a very positive way that we had as a family, because we really wanted to respect the soul of this place. I think that the most precious thing that we have here, especially on a destination like Lake Como, is the beauty of the nature and the history that we are blessed to have. So for us, the history behind each place is really crucial. It tells so much about the experience that you can get from a specific place. So all the works, the renovations works that we have done had the first very strongly in mind the objective of respecting the past, making the most out of it. And so it was also for us a very deep immersion in discovering and putting ourselves in the shoes of the original owners. So we were really trying to envision this family enjoying this villa with their guests and making them feel special and making them really immerse in the genius loci, in the moment and the sense of the place. And we had this very clearly in mind during all the renovations that we have done very, let me say, delicately. So it was a renovation process that is very peculiar, in my opinion, because we never had in mind the final result. So the idea, the way that we did this renovation was not thinking, okay, I know that this place that now looks this way will look that way. It was just a layering of choices respecting the first one. And everything was starting from the bones of this place, really the soul of this place. So we found in every room, but not only, I speak about the building, but this is the same about the garden, because the indoor and the outdoor are two such strong and two so crucial parts of the whole Passalacqua experience. So every space, let me say, that would either being it a room or one terrace of the gardens, had its own DNA and had its own purpose, because it was created for a purpose, had its own historical details still there, being there either a special floor, a special fresco, or very old trees. And from there, we started to take choices. For example, from a beautiful room, we saw the ceilings that were frescoed back in 250 years ago. And from there, we choose the colors of the wall. And then from the colors of the walls, we decided the carpets. And then we selected specific artworks for the walls that had a sense, maybe connected with the meaning of the ceiling or the destination of the room. And then we choose the sofa, the fabric. Maybe we found a very specific antique that was perfectly fitting there. So it was really a layering of choices that brought us to the final result. And what we always say between each other in the family is that even for us, I think the final result surpassed the initial expectations, which is usually not that easy to obtain, because when you do renovations, you always have in mind how a place will look like. And in this case, I don't know even why, because it was not it was not rational, this decision. It was just that it happened like that. We started to take one choice after the other, and getting in love more and more after every choice. And then the final result was a surprise for us too. But still, always to get back to your original question, the final result was respectful of what was at the beginning. And I think that is also what gives us so much happiness.
It's amazing. And I mentioned earlier, you were awarded World's Best Hotel, which is a huge award. Can you talk a little bit about what that means to you and what you think makes a hotel one of the world's best?
I mean, what I always say is that I don't feel that we are one of the world's best hotel. I wish, and this is always my goal. It's so impossible, I think, to really say that a hotel is better than the other or is the best. And so I'm so proud and happy. I mean, Melissa, words cannot tell you how much happiness this award brought to us. Even if I always say I wish I could really be, and this is just for us is not a goal reached, but it's just a starting point, because this is really what will always push us to become what we were named. It will be a never-ending job for us. But as you can imagine, for a hotel that was open for a little bit and more than 1 year, because we opened June 2022 and this incredible recognition arrived in September 2023. So a little bit more than 1 year after our initial opening, family owned, individual, very small. So not small in terms of size of the property, because I always don't like when it's called a boutique hotel. I think there is nothing that is more far to a boutique hotel than Passalacqua. but small in terms of room numbers because we have just 24 accommodations for a property that is in some way very intimate, family owned, independent, and brand new almost, let me say. That was an achievement that goes beyond every wildest dream that we could have. That night that when happened, the ranking started from the 50 to the first. We couldn't believe it was happening. So my first thought is, oh my God, they forgot us, as you can imagine. But I think that especially because all that I just said, because we're small, family owned and new, that was the strongest and most incredible message that we could really give to the world. And this is, I still have goosebumps in this moment. I cannot believe almost 1 year passed and I still have goosebumps just speaking about that. And it's true that this is our motto, but it's really, this is the recognition that is true, that if you can dream it, you can do it. So if you really manage to make your dream a reality, you can arrive everywhere. And we are the demonstration that every dream can become true. And I think it's the most beautiful message we could give to the world and to the hotels of the hoteliers that was incredibly supportive with us. I think that our win was the win of everybody. And this is really what I felt so strongly that night. And that made me really made me feeling even more complete. It was a success that we all shared.
I think that's very true, Valentina, but majorly because everybody who knows you and has been to Passalacqua and feels the genuine love and warmth from you and from the hotel was rooting for you, because what you have created is really what we should all hope that hospitality delivers, which is a sense of being welcomed by a family into a place that you are really appreciative that it exists. The natural beauty, the beauty of the property, what you've done there. We will laugh in our office about people traveling for the works of man and the works of God. Lake Como gives you the works of God. Passalacqua is one of the highest expressions of the works of man. And then you throw in all of the heart and soul of you and your team. So it's not a surprise to me, even though it's new and small, that you won that, because I think you won everybody's hearts in the process of creating what you've created.
Now you make me cry. The only explanation I have is that all the people that had the opportunity to vote probably recognize the heart and the love that's behind that place. Love is powerful. It's very powerful. And this is really the biggest expression of what love can do.
You're listening to Passport to Everywhere, and I'm your host, Melissa Biggs Bradley. Today I'm speaking with Lake Como hotelier and visionary behind the family-owned Passalacqua, Valentina De Santis. I'm excited to continue talking about this special property, but first I have our latest travel news from today's Indagare newsletter, and it happens to pair perfectly with today's hotel legend. If you've heard of Roccoforte Hotels, you know the brand has made quite the mark in Italy, with properties like Hotel de la Ville and Hotel de Russie in Rome, the Savoy in Florence, and one of my favorites, the Villa Igea in Palermo, Sicily. And now coming this summer is Roccoforte House, the brand's debut in the country's fashion capital of Milan. The hotel will be set in a restored 19th century palazzo on Via Manzoni and features 11 charming apartments, a dedicated house concierge, a traditional Milanese courtyard, complimentary bicycles, a rooftop terrace and bar coming next year, and much more. And of course, it's conveniently located for those considering a visit to Passalacqua, as Milan is the perfect place to start or end a trip to Como. It's a property you'll definitely want to keep on your radar, and I can't wait to check it out myself this fall. For more news on hotel openings and for the latest travel updates and insider guides, head to indagare.com and sign up for our free weekly newsletter. Now, back to the show. For those of the listeners who have not yet been, I would love to have you describe what it's like to get to Grand Tremezzo. I've been lucky enough to arrive by boat to this wonderful dock and go up the terraces to arrive at this villa. other people, most people often drive in by car. Explain the situation, because it's on this incredible piece of property with a beautiful view of Lake Como. But then it has, as you said, these gardens and the villa itself, and then some other buildings and structures and the tunnels. So describe it for someone who's never been.
The whole situation is very unique. Most of the beautiful places with the primary locations are pied and low, so they are straight on the lake. While at Passalacqua, the villa itself has a kind of an eagle eye view on the lake, which makes it very different and very spatial. These gardens are century years old, and so they are the trees that there are scattered here and there. The views, I think, also very surprising because they're discreet. You can see the lake, you have a glimpse of the lake, and from a terrace towards Como town, and you can almost see the town and the mountains of Brunate on top of the town. Then, from another perspective, you see the other side of the lake. And from another perspective, you see the north, you see the point of Torno. And so every turn is something that also in terms of views is something like a little surprise. And what I always like to use to describe Passalacqua is meraviglia. So Passalacqua, I think, is a place that gives a lot of sense of marvel, because every space is different than the other, and it's something that is not announced by the previous space. While you move around, you are surprised by things that you don't expect, and I think this makes a big part of the magic. The villa itself, it's also quite austere. It's a very neat facade that is not the focus of the attention. So the focus of the attention is in its heart, so in the interiors, which are quite, let me say, rich in details, because this is like a home should be, not a hotel, but really a home. And then all this very lush nature all around. So these are, I think, the two elements. And I think that also the facade being quite, let me say, simple, I think adds really elegance to the whole mix, because it's leaving the main attention to the richest and the most incredible parts. And then all of a sudden, you discover, this is with what also we discovered the first day we visited it, that just going even underground, the villa is beautiful because it's gifted. And I really want to use the word gifted because it's unique. It's quite unusual. I think there are no other places like that on the lake, by a system of tunnels, underground tunnels that connect the back buildings that were the ancient stables on the back of the main villa till the lake, with this kind of complicated, not only complicated, but quite complex system of underground tunnels that were actually built at the same time the villa was built. So this means that they are 250 years old. They're all excavated in the rock, being the rock this very special stone of Moltrasio, which is the stone that was used to build a big part of Lake Como many centuries ago, and now it doesn't exist anymore. So it's also now a precious material, not because of its intrinsic preciousness, but because you cannot get any new one. And once you are there, also in the deep underground of the villa, again, your heart is blown away, because it's the last and least thing that you would expect. You think that you have done it all, that you have been, and that you have enjoyed it all. And then I think also this underground world is again capable to let you speechless for a while. And so I think this is really Passalacqua, that a place where everywhere you go, you are surprised.
It's wonderful. And I'm going to ask you about one of my favorite rooms, which it's not going to be a surprise totally to people who haven't been yet, but it's so special. I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about the bar, the print room, and what the inspiration was behind it, because it's such a lovely place and it feels so inspired.
Yeah, actually, again, we started from the few elements that we had. One was the fact that on the ceiling of the bar, we have the original crest of the family, where also the inspiration of our logo with the three fishes come from. And then there was this huge, beautiful fireplace where you can even be inside if you want. Very decorated with a lot of stuccos engraved in stone. And so we really thought that was the place to be cozy. The fireplace itself was so much protagonist in this room that we could not envision nothing better than having a nice cup of tea there or a nice whiskey after a beautiful dinner, just enjoying and being in a very cozy room. So we tried to build the room around coziness. And so we wanted to cover the walls with wooden boiserie. But in order to make it a little bit warmer, we said, why don't we invade this beautiful room with prints? And again, we have all across the villa, we have a beautiful collection of antique prints. Most of the hanging things on the walls are antique prints because we really could create collections that have a quite nice value, both aesthetically, but also in terms of meaning, because prints are always or very often sold in collection. And when you can put together, I don't know, the 12 months, the hours of the day, the seasons, I think it gives you so much satisfaction. For the bar, we just got inspired by the elements that made the whole place special and that were not present in a room, that is the nature. So we just started to collect one by one. So I think that part of the charm of Passalacqua is that really things were handpicked. So despite in the bar there are maybe more than 300 prints, I swear I can tell you that we picked them one by one, choosing them in different markets from different antique dealers or from different collections. We found also things online sometimes because we were looking really for specific things. And we just selected flowers, birds and butterflies because we thought that they were three very charming elements mixed together could give the warmth that we were looking for. And this is where the print room comes from. And then you add a nice bottigliera, so a nice system of shelves with good bottles. As a lamp, we use the lamp that was hanging on the billiard in the past, and that is it. So at the end, we managed to have a very cozy bar.
It's beautiful. It's such a special room. I'm curious, Valentina, can you talk about some of the things, because the hotel continues to evolve. You're a person who never sits still, and you always want to make things better and better. What are some of the changes that you envision for Passalacqua, or some of the things you've done recently that you're most excited about?
Recently, we have added an indoor pool that was already in our plans since the beginning, but of course, with an historical property like Passalacqua, we had to face a lot of bureaucratic challenges. And so when we got the permission to make the indoor pool, it was a little bit late in order to respect the original date of opening, that we didn't want to move by one single day. And so we decided that it was a project that we could develop in a later stage, not too late, because it just happened for our third season, so less than 2 years after the opening. And I'm very excited about it because it really allows the guest to discover even more what I just described to you. So this secret underground world that Passalacqua has. So we always try to share the magic of the tunnels with our guests, taking them at least once per week or whoever asked for a nice tour. But this way, and we used already since the opening part of them for our spa, so for the humid area of our spa that was already in the grottos underground. But with the possibility for us to build the indoor pool, we chose, I think, a very good solution, because the indoor pool now is hosted in a greenhouse. So it's, of course, indoor, but it enjoys all the light and the views over the garden and over the lake that only in a glass house you can have. But to reach it, you have to walk through a tunnel that is more than 50 meters long. So it's also quite immersive. It's not just a small few steps. that represents one of the longest straight tunnels that we have. It really, so it's like an invitation to the guest to really be immersed in this world and be surprised and blown away, because I think that everything in Passalacqua is not something that is really that you take it for granted. Yeah, of course, every hotel has a beautiful spa, but when the spa itself is an experience to enjoy not only a beautiful facility, but also a piece of history, I think it makes a lot of difference. So I think this is what is most appreciated and I'm the most excited about. And like with the pool, we still have a lot of little dreams that we want to implement at Passalacqua. And I think that year by year, we will make this place enriched with new little surprises for our guests.
It's amazing. I am going to have to come back and see the pool and swim in it.
You must put it on your list.
I would love to ask you, bearing in mind that people don't get to live in Como as much as you do, but for someone who's coming for the first time or the 10th time, what would you say is a perfect day in Como? What are some of your favorite things that somebody needs to do?
First, I think that not only on Lake Como, but this is my real key point for every place in the world, is to have a very special and beautiful breakfast, because I think that the way you start the day really makes the difference. So sets the mood, sets the whole day in a specific way. So I really like to start the day with a beautiful breakfast, even just a cup of cappuccino, but then if you can add something even more special, like what we do, that you enter the kitchens and you have a full kitchen alive with beautiful things that are just waiting for you, delicious things, it's even better. And then enjoy it, just admiring the view with no rush, maybe enjoying a little bit the music in the background, but also the sound of the birds. So this is something that on Lake Como you can do so easily. So really take a little break just to dedicate to the start of your day with the thing that you love the most in your hand, being it a cappuccino, a croissant, a scrambled egg, or whatever. Filling your eyes with beauty, with the light of the morning, which I think it's the most powerful, energetic light, and the sound of nature and maybe few beautiful notes. And then after that, the suggestion that I give to everyone, it's something that doesn't sound so original, Melissa, forgive me, but I think it's so crucial to enjoy Lake Como, is to be on the waters. Being it on a very chic riva with your captain and a beautiful straw hat, feeling like the best of the Dolce Vita moment of your life, or on a public battello that goes slowly with the steam engine that makes you feel really like a local, admiring the beauty of the lake at a very slow pace, or maybe renting a little boat that you can drive yourself like crazy, trying to do the best as a very not expert captain. However, is your choice, but be on the water, because even for myself, I've been growing up on the lake and spending most of my life here, but every time I'm on the water, I see something new and something different. I notice a little house hanging on the water that I've never saw. I see maybe flowers or beautiful gardens that I never saw. I see the beautiful colors of the lake. So for example, yesterday the lake had the most incredible colors. It was looking like the sea. I don't know what happened, because the lake is incredible. The colors of the water change so much. And so yesterday was very dark in certain point and very light and like almost turquoise in other areas. So it was very special. And when you're on the water, you appreciate this 2 million times more, and you see the colors of the mountains that are changing. And so every time you go out, it's like a new discovery. It's like seeing a new face of Lake Como. So even on your 20th time on the lake, I always suggest go on a boat, go on the water.
I completely agree. Valentina, thank you so much. I could keep talking to you about your passion project for a very long time, but I think the best thing to do is for people to visit. And one of the things you did, if I remember correctly, is You extended how long the hotel is open compared to a lot of other hotels on Como. Can you talk to me a little bit about that thinking and if you're still going to be open all the way till December?
Absolutely, yes. This was one of the dreams and the desires that we had when we saw Passalacqua for the first time, because we wanted to build something new, different, something that was not yet existing on Lake Como. And one of the aspects that immediately we thought is that having an intimate property with just a little bit more than 20 accommodation in a beautiful location on the lake, but still quite close to Como town, not too far from Como town, which is a town which is alive all year long and very beautiful, let me say, from a Comasca point of view, also during winter, was to try to do something for our lake that was quite new, quite unexpected, but also I think quite needed, not only for us, but also for all the people coming from abroad, that was keeping it open for festivities. As a person that is grown up on Lake Como, we are very used to share our beautiful location with travelers from all over the world. But let me say, we were still a little bit jealous of the winter time when it becomes again only ours. So I think it was something that we were all quite protecting. Lake Como during winter is especially beautiful, I think. Of course, you don't have a lot of the summer activities, so you cannot water ski or swim in the lake or do crazy water activities. But other than that, the rest is totally untouched. The weather, the sceneries are sometimes especially beautiful because of the little winter mist that you can see in the morning on the lake. But most of the time you have beautiful, crispy, sunny days where the air is so crystal clear and the skies are so blue. And also all our festivities, traditions are beautiful because there are little markets everywhere, lights everywhere. So it's a very joyful moment. It's a moment where the whole lake, especially the Lake Como town, is so alive. And I think it was still our little secret. And with a place that is so intimate like Passalacqua, we felt that we could start to share this moment of our beautiful Lake Como with the rest of the world.
I think that it's just an example of your pioneering spirit, because we did our whole article last year on the birth of all season travel. And you were one of the examples that we gave, is that we can change the way people travel. So instead of just high and low season, you can have people going to places that are beautiful in different ways all throughout the year. And I think you really are starting a trend that we're going to see lots of other people following. Thank you for that gift.
Yeah, and also, I mean, we are speaking about the villa that is welcoming guests really with a home spirit, and sharing the festivities moments with our guests is the most joyful moment. Now, can you imagine a New Year's that is very intimate but very festive with a family which is really celebrating with you, and I think it's very beautiful.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Valentina. It's always such a treat to be with you at either of the amazing properties, in part because of their beauty, but also because of your heart. I give you a big hug.
Melissa, I give you back the strongest hug, and I couldn't be happier and more honored. So I thank you so much for having me here. Spending time with you is always a joy, and I cannot wait to make it in person on the lake with a cup of cappuccino and the sparkling lake behind us very soon.
Absolutely. Lots of love. Thank you so much.
Ciao, baci baci, grazie.
Many thanks to Valentina for joining me today to talk about her passion for Passalacqua and Lake Como's endless charm. To see all the property has to offer, head to passalacqua.it and check out at Passalacqua Como on Instagram. That's PASSALAQUALAKECOMO. To stay up to date with Valentina's latest ventures, you can follow her on Instagram as well at Valentina De Santis. That's VALENTINADESANTISS.
Thank you for joining us at Passport to Everywhere. We hope you'll join the journey and subscribe. For more travel inspiration, visit indagare.com, INDAGARE. This has been Passport to Everywhere.